Welcome to Yoga and Journal. Today's class will be about the feet and the legs. We're going to get started in child's pose, so you can make your way there now. We'll come down onto the knees, sit the bum back to the heels, and slowly stretch those arms forward towards the top of the mat. You can bow the third eye down to your mat here and take a moment to set yourself up. Feel free to move those knees wider if that feels more comfortable for you. And once you're feeling grounded, you can begin to bring your attention to the breath. Letting go of everything it took to make your way to the mat today and the to-do list once you finish. And coming into this present moment, beginning to connect to the physical body, checking in with anything you're bringing to the mat today. And taking this opportunity to check in with the mind. And checking in with our emotional body as well. Just acknowledging whatever we're carrying with us today. And let's take 2 more clearing breaths together, inhaling through the nose. Exhaling all your air. One more breath through the nose. And exhale, feeling free to sigh. And then we're going to shift into our first pose to begin stretching out the feet. We're going to plant the toes, staying in this child's pose position, sitting the bum back to the heels and walking those hands forward. Now this is an intense stretch through the feet. Our intention is to stay here between 5 to 10 breaths. And just acknowledge the physical sensations that you are experiencing. And this pose is our baseline that we will come back to at the end of the practice. Letting the breath flow naturally in and out through the nose. And using the mind to see where the stretch starts, travels, and ends for you. And just acknowledging that. We'll take 2 more breaths here. Inhale through the nose. Exhale all your air. And feeling free to come out of the pose at any time if you're experiencing discomfort. Otherwise, we're going to slowly walk our hands back, keeping the knees together. And we'll begin to sit our weight back onto our heels. This will intensify the stretch through the feet. So if you'd like to come out of the stretch a bit, you can leave those hands planted to distribute the weight a bit more. Otherwise, settling in for about 5 breaths. Keeping the attention on the feet. And using that breath to keep the mind and body calm. Relaxing the shoulders away from the ears. Relaxing the jaw. 2 more breaths. And then slowly, you can let your hand walk back to your mat. We'll release the feet, and we'll just give a few taps through the top of the feet to just shake out that stretch. And we'll find our child's pose again, this time knees nice and wide, arms stretch out. We'll take 5 breaths just to let those feet rest. You can take this time to see if anything came up for you. Give it some acknowledgement. And then come back to focus on the breath in and out through the nose. Slowly, we're going to inhale to rise through table for a moment. Step back into a plank pose just for a moment and shift back into downward dog. Here, we're just going to take our dog for a walk, and we're going to slowly lift the heels and really stretch out through the arches and balls of the feet. Playfully acknowledging whatever sensations are coming up for you and finding a freedom of movement for those feet, maybe circling through the ankles, maybe even pointing onto the toes. Just intuitively moving the body here. Finding stillness for just a breath. Exhale all your air. And then we're going to walk or step the feet all the way through and find a gentle forward fold just to check in with those legs before we get into our practice. So grounding through those sits bones, letting those toes draw toward your body. We're going to inhale to lengthen the spine and exhale, just slowly let your hands walk forward. And we're not warmed up yet, so just easing into it and checking in with those calves and hamstrings and maybe into the glute and low back area. You can close the eyes if that feels comfortable, and that will allow you to look inward. Again, acknowledging the physical body and the sensations that you're experiencing. Keeping the inhales and exhales slow and lengthened. And if you'd like, you can slightly bow the head down just to see how that changes this stretch for you. 2 more breaths. And on your next inhale, you can use the hands to walk yourself back up. And we'll find staff pose. So we'll press the hands right beside the hips, rolling the shoulders onto the back, gazes forward, pull the toes towards you, lift the pelvic floor, pull the belly button to spine, and we're just going to reset before we begin warming up. Although this is a very subtle pose, we're activating a lot of muscles here, just pulling muscle to bone to align ourselves for practice. 1 more breath here. Relax the feet, the pelvic floor, the belly, and we'll make our way up to standing. Now, for today's practice, you can keep some blocks nearby and maybe a strap. Those will help you with some of our poses. And then finding at the top of our mat, we'll begin with Pada Bandha foot lock. Lift and spread the toes. Feet are about hip width apart here. Roll the shoulders onto the back, palms face forward. Take a few breaths here. Really imagine those feet drawing up energy into the legs, feeling strong, stable, and grounded like the mountain. And here, we'll take our hands to heart center and set our intention for practice today. Just looking inward and listening to our inner voice at what our heartfelt intention is for today's practice. When you've heard that intention come through, take 3 breaths to solidify it in your mind. And then we'll move into our sun salutations. So we'll start with a gentle reach to the back, squeeze the shoulder blades together. Inhale, the arms reach up to the sky, and you're welcome to take a small back bend if that feels good to you. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold, plant the hands, step back plank. Slowly lower halfway or all the way. Inhale into cobra or upward dog. Exhale, downward dog. Here for 5 breaths, lengthening those inhales and exhales through the nose. And keeping the mind focused on any physical sensations that come up or any emotions that are coming through for you. And giving them acknowledgement. And then letting them go with each exhale and tuning back into your practice. Two more breaths here. Really pressing into the knuckles of the hands, keeping the knees soft. And after your second exhale, you can inhale to gaze forward and step or hop to the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, press the hands together to rise. Exhale, hands to heart. 3 breaths. Evening out the inhales and exhales. Acknowledging the heat you're beginning to create in the body. Inhale. Exhale all your air. And last time for our sun salute A, inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold, step back plank. Option to lower the knees and lower halfway or all the way. Inhaling, cobra or upward dog. Exhale, downward dog. 5 breaths here. Staying in your energy, in your body. And maybe noticing if those heels have dropped a little bit closer to the earth, if you're feeling any changes in the body from the start of practice. 3 more breaths. And after that third exhale, we'll inhale, gaze forward, step or hop to the top of the mat. Inhale to lift. Exhale to fold. Inhale to rise, press the hands together. Exhale, hands to heart. We'll take 3 breaths here. Reminding yourself of your intention for practice today. Now we'll move into a very short sun salute B. So we'll inhale together. Exhale all your air. Inhale, let the arms sweep beside. Reach for your mat. Shift the hips back. Keep the weight on the heels. The toes should be able to lift. Continue the inhale. Biceps come in line with the ears. Exhale, folding forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold, plant the hands. Step back, plank. Feel free to flow through another vinyasa or shift right into your downward dog. We'll just take a couple breaths here to find alignment. Inhale. Exhale. Gazing forward, we'll bring our left foot between the hands. We'll keep the back toes pointing to the front of the mat and make sure that the feet are hip width apart here. We'll inhale to press into the feet and rise into a high lunge position. Biceps again come in line with the ears. Roll those shoulders on the back. Take a moment to make sure the front knee is over the front ankle and that there's a soft bend in the back knee with a nice stretch happening through the front of that right hip. Then, when you're stable, we'll come into the breath, taking 3 breaths here. Each exhale, trying to relax that hip flexor a bit more and see if there's any tension that has creeped into that upper body. Shake it out, let it go. For balance, it helps to find a point on the floor or somewhere stable to gaze at. 1 more breath here. Exhale. Then we'll shift into Warrior 2, opening the arms out to the side. The front knee stays where it is. And then the back toes point to the long edge of the mat. And if you were to draw a line from that front heel to the back arch, there's that heel to arch alignment. Gazing over that front hand, roll the shoulders on the back. And there's this energetic opening happening through the hips here. Once we're stable, coming back into the breath, taking 3 inhales and exhales. Making sure that we have that perfect balance between the front and the back, so the shoulders are stacked over the hips here. 1 more breath. Now we'll bend through that front forearm and place it just above the left knee. We'll sweep the right arm down and overhead, again, bicep in line with the ears. Now gaze can remain at the earth or the option to bring it to that top hand. And then we'll begin to inhale, lengthen the underside body, scrunch the top side body, finding an equal length through both sides of the body in our side angle pose. 2 more breaths here. Feeling the strength we have in those legs and the groundedness we have through our feet. After your next exhale, bring the gaze back down to the earth, and we're going to rotate back onto the ball of the foot. Right hand comes to the instep of the left foot. Inhale, the left arm twists up to the sky for a revolved high lunge position. Squeeze shoulder blades together on the back, staying grounded through those feet and long through the spine. Let's take 3 more breaths here. Slowly, you can begin to derotate, plant that left hand down, and draw that left foot back, taking a moment in either downward dog or child's pose to even out those inhales and exhales and reset through the body. Two more breaths. And if you're in child's pose, making your way back to downward dog for just a moment, and we'll repeat that flow on the other side. Inhale here. Exhale. Step the right foot between the hands, making sure we're grounded through those feet. You can lift and spread the toes, and then pressing into the earth. Inhale to rise into your high lunge position. Biceps in line with the ears. Take a moment to make sure that knee is over the ankle. There's a soft bend through the back leg and a nice stretch happening through the front of the left hip flexor. 3 more breaths here. And then on that next exhale, we'll rotate the back foot, finding heel to arch alignment, finding our warrior 2. Take a moment to observe that we have proper alignment through that lower body. The hips are opening up to the long edge of your mat. The shoulders are stacked over the hips, and the gaze comes over that front hand. Once we're stable, feeling grounded, just tuning back into the breath and staying connected with our physical and emotional body here. Two more breaths. On that next exhale, bending through the front forearm, placing it just above that right knee, sweeping the left arm down and overhead for side angle, bicep in line with the ear. Inhale to lengthen that underside body. Exhale to scrunch the top side body, feeling even on both sides of the body. And gaze can come to the earth for a little more balance, or for more of a balance challenge can come to that top hand. And then coming back into the breath, 3 long inhales and exhales. On your next exhale, you can begin to derotate, taking that left hand to the right instep and inhaling the right arm up for a twist. Let those shoulder blades come together on your back, stacking right hand right over top of the left hand and keeping that spine long, sinking into those hips. Here, we're using those feet to stay nice and connected to the earth, and those legs are actively working here. Two more breaths. Sink into that lunge position if it feels good. On your next exhale, you can begin to derotate, and then we'll just step the back foot to meet the front. Taking a breath here. Exhale. Inhale to unroll back to the top of the mat. Let those shoulders roll onto the back. And we'll take 3 breaths at heart center. This is your opportunity to check in with yourself. Time to even out the inhales and exhales. Notice any heat or sensation in the body, wherever it's showing up for you. And your work is just to acknowledge that, let it go, and come back to the breath. Take 2 to 3 more breaths here. And remind yourself of your intention for practice today. Now we're going to find a couple forward folds here. So setting those feet up, making sure they're hip width apart. Lift and spread the toes, Pada Bandha. Inhale to lengthen the spine. And exhale, we're gonna hinge right from the hips. So I like to use my hands here to make sure my hips are traveling back. We're getting a nice stretch through the low back here, and the knees can bend any amount. We want the belly to rest on the thighs. Then take your peace fingers around your big toes, bend the elbows to the sides, and let the head relax towards the earth, lifting the shoulders up. And we're settling here for 5 long inhales and exhales. Noticing any shaking happening through the backs of the legs after the work that we did. Relaxing the jaw and the face. And again, bending those knees. The goal here is just to decompress the spine and give the backs of the legs a little stretch after all that stabilizing. Inhale, we'll lift halfway, and then we'll take the backs of the hands down to the mat. The toes will creep up to the wrists just to decompress the wrists after those planks and downward dogs. 3 more breaths here. Lift those shoulders away from the earth. And when you're ready, you can release the hands. Inhale them to the hips. Slowly unroll 1 vertebrae at a time, back to standing. And just take a moment to shake out the body. We're gonna find a couple more standing poses, and then we're gonna make our way down to the mat again. And we're going to stay deeply connected with our feet and legs here. So lift and spread the toes. And we're going to inhale the arms up and just lift on to the toes, holding for 10 breaths. You also have the option to keep the hands at heart if that makes the balance posture a little more stable for yourself. And this is an opportunity to just connect with all those tiny stabilizing muscles in the legs and feet. It's okay to feel those tiny fluctuations. Woo, woo. Let them happen. Let yourself readjust and balance. 3 more breaths here. Ooh. Having fun with it. And then we'll sink into chair pose, keeping those heels lifted. Again, this is a playful opportunity to play with our balance, connecting with those tiny stabilizing muscles in the legs and the feet. 2 more breaths here. And then slowly release the heels back down. Hands to heart. And take 2 breaths. Now we'll move into our standing postures, setting up for triangle pose. Stepping back with the right foot, finding heel to arch alignment, but a bit of a narrower stance than in side angle. Pressing into the big toe mound, softening through the front knee. Inhale, arms to shoulder height. Roll the shoulders on the back. Keep the front knee soft. We don't want to lock out the knee here. And a nice pressure into the big toe. From here, we'll inhale, we'll begin to reach to the front of the mat, and the hips will reach to the back of the mat. Inhale, lengthen to the front, hips tuck back. When you feel like you've gone your limit, we'll bring the hand down. An option is to use the block at the instep here at any height that feels good in your body. And then inhale the right arm up to the sky, stacking hand over hand, squeezing shoulder blades on the back. And I always imagine myself between 2 panes of glass here. Once we are stable, we're going to hold here for about 5 breaths with the option to gaze at the floor to help our balance, or the option to gaze to the top hand to give us ourselves a little balance challenge. This is a great stretch through that inner line of the left leg and through those hips, which really are working to stabilize us. 2 more breaths. On your next exhale, you can let the arm come down, and we're going to rotate that back foot forward, finding pyramid pose. So bowing the head towards the knee, the hips are squared here, so you're pulling that left hip in line, and we're letting that body just bow over that front leg for a great stretch through the back of that front leg. Let's take 2 more breaths here. Now, you have the option to stay here, or for a little fun, we'll shift our weight forward, grounding into our hands, and we'll begin to float that back leg up for a standing split variation. This will intensify that stretch through the back of the left leg, and it'll also have to actively work here. Using that right glute to lift the right leg, and then settling in for just 2 more breaths. When you're ready, you can lower that back leg down and slowly make your way up to standing. We're going to bring that block with us, and we're going to switch out the feet. So the right toes pointing to the back of the mat, left toes to the long edge. Can take your block to the instep again, setting up for triangle. Inhale, arms shoulder height. Take a breath here. Exhale your air. And then inhale, begin to reach for the back of the mat, shifting the hips to the front. Tuck, tuck, tuck that front hip. Reaching with the arm, and then releasing to our block or the earth. Inhaling that left arm up, stacking left hand over right hand, and settling in for 5 breaths. pressing into that right toe mound and keeping the right knee nice and soft. Just noticing any sensation you're experiencing in your body. Noticing where the stretch starts, travels, and ends. Two more breaths. And slowly we can begin to bring that left arm down. Hands come to either side of that front foot, and we'll rotate that left foot to face the back of the mat, bowing down into pyramid pose. Settling here for 3 breaths. Feeling some length through the back of that front leg, and acknowledging any other sensation that you're experiencing. Now we have the option to stay here, or you can shift the weight forward, hands walk forward a bit, grounding into the palms, and inhale to lift the back leg into a standing split, squeezing the left glute to lift the left leg, and feeling that right leg work to both stretch and stabilize. 2 more breaths here. And slowly, when you're ready, you can lower that left leg and let the body unroll back to standing. And we'll come to meet at the top of our mat. Hands to heart. Just take a moment to check in. How am I feeling? How is my breath? How is my body? Specifically, how are my feet and legs feeling right now? And then we're going to find a little flow just to make our way back to child's pose. Inhale, let's reach those arms up. Baby back bend. Exhale to fold, nice and soft. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant the hands, step back plank, or right into downward dog, just for a moment. And then lowering the knees, we're gonna find that child's pose position. This is an opportunity to recenter, to reconnect. And then we'll find those toe stretches we did at the start. And we'll be curious about any changes that we might experience in the feet after creating a bit of heat in the body. Now you're welcome to stay here if this is feeling good. Or you can rise out a bit, plant into the tops of the feet, shift the bum back to the heels, walk the hands forward, and finding, this is called rabbit's pose. And then bringing our attention to the feet. Scanning through the toes, the balls of the feet, the arches, into the ankles and calves. might be helpful to close the eyes to really look inward. And then either staying here for the next 2 to 3 breaths, or we can rise up and give a little more weight to those feet. And just seeing if we notice any difference from the start of our class to now. When you're ready, we'll just bring the hands down and shift onto our bums. We're going to give our feet a little massage in Baddha Konasana, or bound ankle pose. So grounding into the sits bones, you can remove the flesh from the glutes, and then the soles of the feet come together. Now here, I want you to just take a moment and use the thumbs to massage and feel through those feet. Just making a nice connection to this part of our body. And then finding stillness, we're going to have those thumbs in the arches, and you can sort of open the feet like a book. And then inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, we begin to fold forward from the base of the spine. And when we've hinged as much as we can, you can let the head bow down towards the toes. And we'll settle here for about 7 breaths. The elbows can softly press those knees open if that feels good. Just tuning inward, feeling through the legs and the feet. As you hold, you might feel the body release a little bit more, and you might experience a change in your range of motion. Allow it to unfold naturally. There's no striving or pushing or straining. Just staying present in the body and the pose. On your next inhale, you can begin to rise up. And then we'll extend the right leg, keeping the left leg bent. The left sole comes to the right inner thigh. Hands press beside us. Inhale to lengthen out of that low back. And exhale, begin to hinge forward from the base of the spine. You can let those hands start to walk towards the feet. And then bowing forward any amount, nose toward the knee. We'll settle here for about 7 breaths again. Inhale to really lengthen the spine. Exhale to relax the shoulders and the head. Inhale, we're drawing the right toes toward us. And exhale, we're keeping that left leg nice and soft and relaxed. Noticing that gentle hum of aliveness in the back of that right leg, and just letting it grow. Slowly, on your next inhale, you can use those hands to help your body walk its way back up. And we'll switch out the legs, extending the left leg, bending through the right leg here. We'll let that right leg relax out to the side and energetically draw the left toes toward us. Hands start beside the hips to inhale and lengthen out of that low back. Exhale, hinging forward from the base of the spine. And then the arms can shift forward, helping your body to lower closer to the leg. And then bowing nose toward the knee. Settling in for 7 breaths. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, relax the shoulders and head. Inhale to draw those left toes towards you. That left leg is active here. Exhale, relax that right leg. Four more breaths, lengthening the inhales and exhales. Just noticing where the stretch or sensation starts, travels, and ends for you. When you're ready, you can inhale to slowly begin to walk the body back up. And then we're going to set ourselves up for an extended hold in our forward fold. I suggest using the blocks here so that we have a support system for that upper body. So keeping those blocks close by, we'll again ground through those sits bones, making sure our legs are pointing right out from the hips. Toes will start by pulling toward us. Hands will help to lengthen out of that low back, and we'll pelvic tilt, hinging from the base of the spine forward. Now, this is an intense stretch, so I want you to start off by only going into it about halfway. Let those hands come to the earth. Let that upper body relax. Feel as though your heart is reaching towards your feet here, and your feet are pulling towards your body. We are going to be here a total of about 3 minutes. So you'll find that as you begin to relax the breathing and the mind, the backs of the legs will also relax. And you can let your body be your guide as you move deeper. Now, what's wonderful about these blocks is you can bring them atop the legs, and they provide a sort of platform so you can let the head rest. When that upper body relaxes, it also allows that lower body to feel safe to let go. The goal here isn't to have the head to the knees. The goal is to find a comfortable seat, and so the nervous system can fully relax. And as you hold, I want you to let the breath become natural. You do not have to focus on lengthening the inhales and exhales here. Just let the breath be soft. Let the arms, head, shoulders feel heavy. Just let your attention go to that gentle hum of aliveness, that little tingling, buzzing sensation occurring in your body. Staying connected with yourself here. Notice if the mind has drifted. Just re-centering by looking inward into the body, or letting the mind focus on the breath if that feels better for you. That cooling sensation as we inhale, and the warm sensation as we exhale. You can begin to let the toes relax as well here. We're gonna relinquish any holding and just be. Taking 10 more mindful breaths here. If it feels good, you can let them lengthen out a bit more. When you're ready, you can slowly begin to make your way out of your forward fold, letting your hands walk your body up. And just taking a moment with your hands to your knees to acknowledge any sensations that have come up for you, physical, mental, or emotional, and just shaking out those legs a little bit. We're going to make our way down to the mat. So we'll press our feet into the mat and shift our hips closer to our heels. And then slower than you'd like, we'll begin to unroll down to the mat. Let the palms face the sky, pulling the belly button to spine, keeping the feet grounded on the earth, and moving slower than we would like. Once you're down to the mat, we're going to tuck those shoulder blades together and draw the heels closer so that the fingertips can touch the heels. We're going to find 3 variations of bridge. So we're going to press the elbows into the mat, arms in a 90-degree shape, and tuck the shoulder blades together on the back. From here, we'll inhale and exhale, press into the feet, lift the hips towards the sky, engaging the glutes, pressing into the feet, and a gentle squeeze of the knees toward each other so that we're activating all sides of our thighs here. And this will help to reset and realign our lower body after all of our stretching and moving. 3 breaths here. And after that 3rd exhale, you can slowly unroll, again, 1 vertebra at a time. Let the hands come down to the earth, and we'll just let the knees drop from side to side. This will help to recenter the legs in the hip joint. It's also a nice little stretch for that low back. And coming back through center. Press the hands into the earth. Re-tuck in those shoulder blades together on your back. And again, lift into bridge, pressing into the feet, squeezing through the glutes. Little squeeze of the knees toward each other, and holding for 3 more breaths. After that third breath, slowly unrolling again, 1 vertebra at a time, and just letting those knees again flow from side to side. Finding center. Now this time we have the option to bind the arms underneath of us. So we're going to again press into the feet, lift the hips, and maybe interlocking the hands and tucking those shoulder blades together. We're gonna hold here for 5 breaths. And you have the option to lift the heels if that feels good, just to give you a greater range of motion through the front of the body. When you're ready, after 5 breaths, you can release the hands, release the heels, and unroll 1 vertebra at a time. Then hug one and both knees into the chest and softly rocking side to side. When you rock side to side, just noticing the gentle massage that low back is getting from the earth. And then keeping the knees where they are, we're gonna flex the feet up to the sky and hold on to the pinky edge of the feet. Now, the arms are going to stay grounded on the earth, and this will pull the feet toward us, and the knees will move toward the armpits for happy baby. Now, the option to stay here as we breathe, or you can find a gentle rock side to side, if that feels good. Noticing any stretching happening through the legs or feet here. Two more breaths. Slowly, when you're ready, you can release the bind to your feet, and we're gonna find a reclined twist. So we're going to press the feet into the earth, lift the hips up slightly, move them to the right side of your mat, draw the knees towards your body, and then let them lower to the left side. Stack the knee on knee, hip on hip, and then the left hand can stay on the right knee for some grounding, or it can come to cactus arms or a T shape. Listen to your body, listen to your intuition on what feels best for you today. Your option is to keep the gaze to the sky, or you can let the neck rotate and gaze comes over that right hand for a twist right from the base of the spine to the base of the head. And we'll hold here for 5 breaths, really allowing those inhales and exhales to be full and to expand into the front, back, and sides of the body. Creating space. Option to close the eyes to look inward. Just acknowledging, again, any sensation in the physical or emotional body. On your next exhale, and release all your air. And then inhale, let the head return to center, knees return to center. Shift those hips back to the middle of your mat. Take a breath. And then we'll shift the hips to the opposite side, setting up for that twist on the other side. So hips move to the left, knees draw toward our body, and lower to the right side, stacking knee on knee, hip on hip. Maybe the hand comes above the knee, or you can find any other variation of cactus or a T shape, whatever your body is asking for today. And keeping the shoulders grounded into the mat as well. Option to bring the gaze over that left hand, and then settling into your twist, using the breath to expand into the front, back, and sides of the body. And then on your next inhale, you can begin to return the head to center, the knees to center. Let the hips come to the middle of the mat. Hug the knees into your chest for another moment. And then we'll find our inversion for today's practice. We're just going to extend the legs up to the sky. The toes are pointing upwards. And we're going to hold waterfall pose. So this is so important for the feet and legs to let all the blood and lymph return back to the core of the body. And we're going to hold here for about 10 to 15 breaths and let our attention be on that waterfall sensation. Your hands can rest on the hips or on the earth, maybe closing the eyes. Letting the breath be slow and intentional here. And this should be an effortless pose, so really finding that placement where the feet and legs just float. Five more breaths here. Really letting those legs relax, no holding through the muscles. And slowly bending the legs and preparing for Shavasana. Grabbing socks and a sweater, that feels good. Putting them on, otherwise extending the legs and letting the toes fall open to the edges of the mat. Feeling grounded through the hips, shoulder blades tucked together on the back. Arms come to the sides at about a 45-degree angle. whatever feels natural with the palms to the sky. And then letting the chin tuck slightly to signal the body for rest. We're going to close the eyes now and begin to let go of our practice today. Let go of controlling the breath, relaxing the muscles in the face, letting the jaw soften and the tongue fall from the top of the mouth. And letting yourself drift away into that quiet, peaceful, white space inside. feeling free to stay here as long as you would like. Otherwise, starting to come back to this time and place. Slowly deepening the breath and inviting small movements to the fingers and the toes, eventually circling into the wrists and the ankles. When you're feeling ready, you can take a big stretch with the arms overhead, lengthening from fingertips to toe tips. And then exhaling, hugging the knees in, wrapping the arms around, and softly rocking side to side. When you're ready, softly falling onto one side, using your arm as a little pillow, and taking a moment here. When you're feeling ready, you can use your hand to help push you into a comfortable seated position. Crossing the legs and bringing the hands to the heart. Bowing the head. Taking this time with yourself to remind yourself of your intention in today's practice, to express gratitude to yourself for choosing to practice today and connecting with your mind, body, and emotions. And then bowing inward towards yourself. Thank you for practicing with me today, and thank yourself for showing up today. Namaste.